Welcome to the family with.
Mike Gelfand.
And Andy Brand Bernard.
So, Mike said he all fired up. I got a couple of things I got to ask him. No question about it. Just watching the news. So, Mike, as a nice Jewish boy in America today, and I'm only saying that you're a Jew because we're nowhere near a university, so that's good.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I sometimes I identify with my people. Sometimes religiously, I'm more like something which I think both sides hate, which is basically a secular humanist.
Oh, they hate that. You're
Why
right.
be hated from just one group when you can be hated by both?
I agree with you 100%. Cover the whole thing. There's
Yeah.
no
No such
question
thing as
about it.
bad press.
No.
I made a statement on the morning show this morning, and I do believe this true, and I think Andy and I talked a bit about it as well. It's becoming pretty obvious the whole thing, this entire thing is based on skin color
Well, yeah.
because the Jews they're attacking are white.
Mhm.
You know, they can talk all they want about. Most of the Jews who live in America are white Jews, correct?
Yeah, as opposed to say the Sephardic Jews.
Right. There you go. So, is this just yet another horrible racial issue in America?
Yep.
Well, it goes back a few thousand years.
Yes.
So it's sort of hard to say, but I think it's obvious throughout history the Jews have been blamed for pretty much everything. And but another thing about this though is it's which is sort of impressive in a way that is depressing is that this is a really skillfully planned attack.
Boy, it is. There's no question about that. I just,
Yeah.
what is this really all about? I mean, seriously, I don't like either side of this battle. Don't get me wrong. You don't
Right.
want to see people trying to murder each other by the thousand,
No. No, it's I've said it and I'll keep saying it. It's just you've got basically war criminals on both sides.
I like that. See, I like the way you put that. Your buddy Netanyahu, you have dinner with him anytime soon?
He just won't return my calls.
I don't get it. I don't understand what the hell he's doing.
I thought maybe we'd get together at the crossroads,
Oh, I love the crossroads.
I'm not even sure the guy keeps kosher.
I don't know. Like I said, I ran into him once at a restaurant and he was surrounded by guards, so he couldn't even see him.
Well, you can't blame him for that.
No, I suppose
After
not.
all, everybody wants a piece of him, including the law.
The law is going after him now?
Well, it has been for a long time. I mean, he's basically a felon.
Based on what,
based
murder?
on all the charges he's been found guilty of, but they can't do anything about it. Conspiracies, all sorts of things. I mean, the guy is a sleazy character, but that's why he needs continuous war.
But a question I have for everybody in the world, when are we going to get over this skin color thing? I love the fact that white people today are to blame for all the things that happen to other people thousands and thousands of years, has nothing to do with us, but simply because of skin color. Also, black people are this, red people are this, yellow people are this. It's like, would you let it go for Christ's sake?
And the great thing about hatred of Jews is that nobody regards them as being white.
They don't. Well, I think these protesters do.
I think they do.
Tell you that.
Yeah, but on the other side, people, it's the old story, never trust the white man, that kind of thing.
Right.
So it's you can't win. Nobody's going to win, obviously.
No, you're right.
There are no winners. And when it comes right down to it, I think is that the people who are being vilified here do have a right to attend college.
Yes, they do.
And it's just, people want to keep making these comparisons between the late 60s, early 70s, when we had, a million people marching on Washington. But that was peaceful. And it was about ending a war. This is about continuing the war until everybody's dead.
Yes, it is. There's no doubt about that. Are people getting dumber by the day? Is that the problem?
Well, it may not be the problem here, but they sure are getting dumber.
I'm not kidding you. People are getting, I don't know what the hell our school systems around the world are doing. People are they're not educated. They can't read. They can't write. They can't do. What the hell are they doing in our schools now?
Well, it's I mean, it's a good question, but the problem is that the problem doesn't. It's not. It's really not about school. It's
What's it
not like the
about?
school is making them dumber. It's the families are making them dumber.
I disagree. I think our education system is shot.
Well, it
They're
is
teaching.
shot. I agree with you, but
Yeah.
I think it's because all these kids come in and they have no interest in learning. They have no
Yeah.
parents
True.
never read to them, and this could be rich kids or poor kids.
Yeah.
They don't need it, you know. And so, how do you overcome that?
I mean, some people have no signature any longer. I don't know how you write a check with no signature.
Yeah,
I've
well,
never had a signature,
you
really.
don't have to.
Did
You
you?
don't have to sign a check anymore.
Well, I suppose that's
You
true.
just scribble.
True, yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I
you
don't
just-
sign it.
Or you just don't write checks at all.
Well, that's the thing. I write one a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. There's not a lot of check writing anymore, is there?
No.
Nope.
No.
It all just gets transferred.
I mean, obviously, there are many different sources of this great acceleration of, well, it's both stupidity and ignorance. They go together. They walk hand in hand. And but what do? I mean, it's if it was just one thing, that would be different. If you could say, "Here's the problem," okay?
Right,
can't do that.
exactly. No, you can't do that, and it's unfortunate that you can't do. I don't know the whole situation. Like, I just get depressed from the whole situation because I grew up in many different type of people in my neighborhood. We enjoyed that,
Well, right.
you know. Why did we enjoy it so much? I know I've talked about this before. When I go into a Jewish household, it was always the case when the father, realized it was me, a nice Catholic boy.
Yeah.
And they did it in a very positive way. They would come over and teach me something about Judaism.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was very, very cool as a kid. I loved that.
Different times, huh?
The totally different times.
But now, on the other hand, the Twins have won 10 in a row.
Oh, you going to talk about the Twins, are you?
Well, normally that would have you kind of excited.
It normally would, but the two teams they beat are horrendous.
Well, it's funny you should say that. I was just looking at doing a deep dive into the Chicago White Sox. Now, you want to know the most depressing thing about the White Sox?
Yes, I do. I do, definitely.
The Twins only play them 6 more times this year.
I know. That's
So
terrible.
that's they're going to have to actually beat teams that are mediocre now.
Yep.
And the Twins are mediocre. Don't let this fool you.
No,
Every
they are.
statistic you can find suggests that they're at best mediocre.
Yes.
And the White Sox, they are on the trend now, and it's probably not going to get much better there because they have probably the worst pitching staff and the worst hitters. So that you can't beat that combo, right?
Right.
They will lose 130 games at this rate.
130.
Yeah, 130, which will be, of course, that'll shatter all the records in modern history. However, this is something that'll at least keep them, it'll keep them out of some of the record books. In 1899, the Cleveland Spiders lost 134 games.
The Cleveland Spiders. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Oh, yeah, no, it was a long time ago. Yeah.
But as a kid, you would study the Cleveland Spiders.
Oh, sure.
Yep, no question about
We
it.
all had those battered and bruised record books.
Yes.
Usually they were about 20 years old or so, but passed down from someone to us. And, that got you through a lot of lonely nights.
Yeah, I got to bring something up to you about. We had a guest on the morning show this morning. Jackie Ivanko was her name.
Mm-hmm.
It's a young woman, 24 years old. She looks like she's about 12 years old in her pictures. Just a great. Jackie is a platinum-selling recording artist who first became a worldwide sensation at the age of 10. And I'm talking to her, and I go down the list. It says Jackie has recorded and/or performed duets with notable artists such as Tony Bennett, Barbra Streisand, Placido Domingo, Josh Groban, Andrea Bocelli, Jose Carreras, to name a few. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking about that. I said, I got to be honest with you. I went to see Tony Bennett a few months before he died. I got lucky enough to go see him. It was at the Mystic Lake Casino.
Oh, sure.
We were sitting in the front row. I'm about 20 feet from Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
And I was nervous being that close to a legend like Tony Bennett.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know,
I
just to be
saw him
around.
in one of our Vegas trips. I saw him.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But so I'm telling her, even being 20 feet away from him, I'm not on stage with him, I'm not singing with him, but I'm just sitting 20 feet away from him. And it's making me nervous to be around a legend like that. And I said, so how did you handle that? And she goes, handle what? I said, doing a duet with Tony Bennett. She said, well, I had never heard of him.
That would calm me down, I guess. Yeah. Tony who?
Tony who? I don't even know who you're talking about. She said he was the nicest man ever. And to make her feel better, because she was only 10 years old when she recorded with Tony Bennett, he brought his puppies along to the recording session. Now that's a nice man.
There you go.
Puppies.
Yes.
Puppies. He got puppies at the recording session. But see, there are young kids out there now. And like I said, Jackie, if you look at her picture, you might be able to see.
Oh, yeah.
Can you see her?
Yeah.
She looks like she's about 12.
Yeah.
I mean, honest to God, Jackie. Just
That's
a great
actually
person.
her at 22.
24.
24.
It's 24. Yep.
Yeah.
Which is hard to believe looking at it. But so, I mean, that's the whole thing. I think I've been thinking about this quite a bit lately. You know, there's so much negativity and horrible action in the world right now. To come across a kid like Jackie Evenko is what a treat that is, because she's excited, she's happy, she has a wonderful life, she's happy for you. I mean, you got to mix that all in, you know. You can talk about the, you know, what's going on the campuses. You can then move from there on to the Twins having their longest winning streak. 10 games, I guess. That's a new. Matter of fact, I don't think anybody else has ever done it.
Well, it's not. Well, it's been a long time, but it will come with an asterisk.
Because Chicago's so
Yeah,
bad.
I think so. Yeah.
They're going to put an asterisk on it because of Chicago.
But you
And
know, I
LA's
mean,
not that good
this
either.
is a phenomenon we've experienced in the past. The innocence of youth. You
Yeah.
know, singing songs with great
Right.
and much older crooners. I think, of course, of Tanya Tucker and Glenn Campbell.
Yeah, oh yeah. But they had a
Except
little.
there wasn't much innocence there.
No, I was going to say there was not a whole lot of innocence in that one, but
Oh, they're
she-
speaking of dogs.
yeah, there's Judy coming in the room. Jude had to come in and check things out, see how you doing, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what? I feel a lot less tense now.
Because there's a puppy.
Yeah.
Hey, that's all we do. We live to serve. There's no question about it.
You know, and like with all this rain, now I've got ducks in my backyard, which
Really?
I kind of like, but I haven't seen them in a long time. And then, like 3 doors or 4 doors down, I've got this very elderly alpha wild turkey.
Oh God, yes.
And like I'm walking down the street and I hear this shriek and I'm thinking, oh my God, it's like, is that an ambulance coming? And it's a wild turkey who is about, you know, the size, I'd say the size maybe of a Shetland. And add to that the fact that as I walk by, he's displaying.
Oh really?
Yep,
Going to
he's
show
got-
you.
He's got that fan of feathers out. And I mean, he looks like a truck tire at that point.
Sure,
And I'm telling you, he was going to get some.
he was.
Oh, there's no question.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, I didn't know turkeys were that big. Didn't have a lot of turkey. The turkeys finally showed up. I don't know what it was, but they finally figured out if they went down the rail yard, they could get to, the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
They could get from one place to another. And as soon as the turkeys discovered that, we used to see our turkeys. Well, there were turkeys on the island when we lived on the island, weren't there, Andy?
Not too many, but some.
Well, they
Yeah,
do
once in a
fly
while.
after all.
They do. That's
They
mean-
mostly, I mean, they walk around neighborhoods everywhere.
Well, yeah, and the weird thing about them is, and I see a few exceptions to this around my neighborhood. I see a lot of wild turkeys, but they always gravitate on the driveways.
Yes.
Yeah.
they do.
Wouldn't you think they'd be more comfortable in the grass?
You would think.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know.
I think they're just very dumb.
And you know, and they are sort of. It's shocking to see them because you know the turkeys we eat on Thanksgiving. You know, they get like 6 months of life and they're done.
Hmm.
But these
Yeah.
guys are, I don't know how old these turkeys can live to, but
I wonder.
yeah, probably, I don't know, 9 or 10, maybe, you think?
3 to 5.
3 to 5 is it.
That's it. 3 to 5,
Well, I
really?
mean, think about it.
This guy had
Coyote
to be,
comes around, and
yeah,
what are they going to do about it?
this guy had to be 5 if that's the case.
Really?
Well, he had a lot of notches on his belt.
Big fella.
Big fella, yeah.
A
Yeah.
pet turkey can live about 10 years
Really?
if you really want to pet turkey for some reason.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think most conservationists will tell you, do not feed the turkey.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, not a good idea, is it?
Unless it's bread stuffing, between their legs. But other than that,
Mhm.
Well, it works for me.
of course.
I got no problem with that whatsoever. So, anything else in the political news we should know about this morning, or any kind of news? I was just kind of looking through the news. I see that so a bunch of restaurants are closing, a bunch of restaurants are opening.
Isn't it amazing how fluid they are?
They really are. But sometimes I gotta believe running a restaurant is not the easiest thing to do in the world. So it's probably
Yeah.
after several years you go, oh my God, I'm worn out. I can't do this anymore.
They're tired of screaming at the sous chef.
That that's a possibility. I imagine that happens once in a while. But what the hell? All right, so we covered the Twins. The fact that the Twins, they're going to have to prove to us how good they are. We're not just going to take it for granted.
No, now the next series I think are Boston,
Yes.
which is they're okay. I mean, they're night and day from the White Sox. They've got the
Yes.
Sox, but they ain't White Sox. So they're coming up, and I think they'll pose some kind of a challenge. And they're playing Toronto, and they're kind of right in the middle too. Let's see, Boston, Toronto, and Seattle. Those are the three teams who are playing next.
Okay.
And none of them are great, but they're all okay.
I'm glad to hear that. Just popped up breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, from the Star Tribune sent me the message. University of Minnesota says it reaches deal to end pro-Palestinian encampment.
What kind of deal you think?
I don't know. Does it say anything about the deal? They didn't say
I
anything.
wonder.
Says interim U President Jeff Ettinger announced the deal in an email to students and faculty this morning. Doesn't say what the deal is. It just U of M's interim president meets with them. Why some college students are protesting in Minnesota. Another pro-Palestinian protest camp goes up at the U.
Well, they're everywhere. I mean, they're probably at Bob Jones University.
You think of Bob Jones?
I mean, they're
suppose
just
it's a
everywhere.
possibility. Yeah, they're going to have to, I don't know. Well, it was so weird this morning because I woke up and I watched the news every morning to see if anything big is breaking or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Every single national news station was covering the battles in the encampments around the United States.
Yeah, today it's UCLA.
Oh, UCLA's, yeah, a lot of fist fights going on there and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But it was weird because I got up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and they were talking about it. And in LA, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and they were battling it out at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah, I've watched a lot of that stuff the last few days because I got my quarterly cortisone shot on Tuesday, so I haven't slept since then.
Not
and
since
so-
Tuesday.
No, so I actually, to be fair, I had I think 2.5 hours of sleep last night. So I'll crash today. It'll be fine.
So why aren't you sleeping?
Cortisone shot. They
Oh, yeah.
cortisone will keep you up for days.
Sure
not
will.
everybody. I think not everybody reacts to it that way, but I know Andy and I do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what does it do for you?
It's a steroid, so it just kicks your whole system into overdrive, basically.
Yeah.
And why do you get the injection?
Oh, I just get it because I just have some bursitis in my hip.
Mhm.
Oh,
It's
okay.
usually for inflammation
Yeah,
that can't be treated any other way.
yeah, and so I get it quarterly, and I get relief for about 10 weeks or so.
Yeah.
It
God, I
used to
see.
be you could only get these cortisone. They'd say, well, 3 times in a lifetime.
Well,
I don't know how they went from that to 3 times or 4 times in a year, but
Yeah, it's a very good point. I just saw a headline popped up in the Star Tribune, what a Trump immigration crackdown would mean for Minnesota's economy.
not good.
Well, is that bad that it's not good?
Yeah, it's bad that it's not good. Yeah, because we got a lot of jobs to fill, and Minnesota has more jobs to fill basically than than a lot of states, probably most states. I think the number I saw was like they've got 50 people willing to take on 100 jobs. So for every 100 jobs, they can fill 50.
But we can't keep letting people in here just to fill jobs.
Not just to, no.
I mean, we just can't do that. That's why I was kind of surprised that would be the headline. I mean, is there any way we're ever going to return to a system like your family did, like my family did, like Andy obviously has the same family that I do, where you had to check in when you came in at Ellis Island and you got the card, you got the whole deal? Are we ever going to return to that, or are they just going to keep come flooding in?
Well, yeah, why bother? They can just open the border. The companies love it.
Well, there's too many people coming in, I think, to do that. But yeah, I mean, there's always two sides to a story, and in this one, I think we desperately need these jobs to be filled.
Yes.
And as you know, and I know, we have fewer and fewer people to fill them all the time because people blame us for it. Of course, we are getting older. And you and I are probably, even if we're dirt poor, we're probably not willing to work in a butcher plant.
Well, have you considered not getting older?
That's why I got this.
Be ready to go in no time.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's how. First of all, how did this economic problem happen? I mean, what I'm told by people in the know, because I don't really follow it all that much, is that people want to hire immigrants or migrants or whatever the hell I want to call them because they don't demand as much money. So does a lot of this have to do with the unions and all of that stuff?
Well, there basically aren't any unions anymore.
Well, they aren't really?
The unions, union membership is like, probably has gone from since the post-World War II days. It's probably gone from 65% of all workers to maybe 10%.
Really? Why did that happen?
Well,
too expensive.
There was a pretty determined effort to kill unions. That's one part of it.
Now, where did that come from?
Well, I mean, Ronald Reagan was probably the epicenter of that, but it's been going on it's always been about. I mean, there always has been a lot of really bad things happening to union members back in the days. When the Pendletons, the great security guys,
yeah, sure,
they were the big strike breakers back in the 20s and 30s,
right?
And of course, it was the head honchos. It was the people who had a ton of money who were hiring them so that they could save money. So it kind of goes from there, but it is very much a political thing. Democrats want unions, and Republicans don't. And that's why you're seeing this effort now to kill the post office because those guys belong to a union.
How are we going to get? Are we going to get mail anymore? Or are you just going to be sent emails now?
Probably, you're right. Probably just emails. I mean, as you know, everything you get in the mail, you're going to get like 10 text messages or emails a week saying,
Yep.
You don't have to get that in the mail.
Yeah.
I sign up for everything in the mail. I don't read it. I just want something for the post office to deliver.
Just don't have an existential crisis.
I just think that it's good for the country when we have unions who buttress salaries of people who ordinarily would be dirt poor.
So what are we going to do about that if they're driving these unions out? I've been a union member since I was I think 16.
Yeah, well, I've
17
been
maybe
since I was 20. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was 17 years old. Did my first voiceover deal. Yeah, I don't know. I've never had any problem with Screen Actors Guild or AFTRA. SAG and AFTRA is the same thing. They used to be separate back in the day.
Yeah.
But now they're the same thing, and I do not understand why do people have such a problem with unions? Because they think they drive the price of everything up or something?
Well, there's a lot of unions that are very bad.
Oh, is that right?
Well, it depends on the union. So if someone's experience with a union is the kind that's, run by the mafia, they're going to be like, I don't like unions too much.
So that's Andy Bernard now talking about the Teamsters, in case anyone wonders.
I cannot confirm or deny. who I am
Hey,
talking about.
when the newspaper guild back in the 80s, when we were on strike, who broke the strike?
I wouldn't
It
know.
wasn't scabs.
No,
It was the Teamsters.
really.
Yeah, they sat out for about 3 days and then they said, we're going back to work. So if they were willing to deliver the paper, then the paper got delivered. We weren't writing for it, but it still got delivered.
You know, it's really funny. I just thought of this, and I never even considered it before. In my entire radio career, it started when I was 17 years old. I worked for one union radio station. That was WDGY.
Is that right?
Yeah, they were a union radio station. Nobody else, no matter where I went,
What about
nobody else was union.
was WCCO a union operation? I think they were, right?
I think they were, but I never worked for them.
And of course, I guess you probably didn't work for public radio either.
I did not work for public radio. They're not big fans of mine to this day. Although Kathy Wurzer and I are friends, so that's good.
Well, that's a good start.
Kathy's a very, very pleasant person. I have no problem with her whatsoever.
I used to see Escala around at the
right
at the racetrack.
Oh, you did? I
I
didn't know
loved
that.
horse racing. Yeah, he even
How did he
took one of
get
my.
there?
He took one of my classes.
How did he get to the racetrack?
Well, he just put his scarf on and put out his thumb, I guess.
Because he didn't drive.
No, he didn't drive. No,
Oh, he did not drive a car. I know that.
the only time. I mean, I like the guy. He's a good guy and talented, but I'm not sure he ever forgave me for the time I approached him in the press box. You could always see a guy like Eskel in the press box because, the journalists who actually didn't write about the track would go into the press box.
Mm-hmm.
If you wrote about the track or like me did shows there, you mingled with the real people. That's all.
Right.
Plus they wouldn't stop smoking in the press box and I finally had to report them to the state health department.
I don't doubt
Did
it.
you? Did you really?
I absolutely did. Yep. I told them I was going to do it. I don't think they believed me.
Did they get mad at you?
Oh, well, I'm sure they did, but they mostly kept quiet about it.
No
I don't think they
effect.
wanted me to gloat over them. So, and I wasn't gloating anyway. I was coughing. So I see Escala in the press box, and I like the guy. Remember now, I like the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, "Hey, Erica, I really enjoy Almanac. For those who don't know, it's like the public affairs show
Mm-hmm.
that's been on public television locally here for like what, I don't know, 50 years or something.
At least, yeah.
I don't think Eskel has been on the show for 50 years, but the show's been on forever. And so I said, I really enjoy the show, but you know what? All I see are reruns these days. I wish you'd do a new one. He said, what are you talking about? Well, just, every time I turn it on, it's obviously a rerun. He said, we don't do reruns. And I said, of course you do. At the end of every show, you high five people. No one's done that in 40 years.
Yeah, well, there is that.
That's not a thing anymore, is it?
So he took offense. I thought it was a pretty good joke. But he apparently, I don't know. Maybe he was just playing along with me.
I think the problem that you might have had with him is he never cared for me, and you were working with me. I know that pissed off
really?
a lot of people like that. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't like a chum of mine, but he took one of my classes. So how could I not like it?
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, he was never friendly to me. I don't know what the hell I ever did to him.
Well, he was. Remember, everybody's forgotten this, but for like 2 months, he was the gossip columnist at the Minneapolis Tribune.
That's right.
I mean, that's one of those things that you never. And I'm not saying that like because it was a horrible thing. It was fine. It wasn't his thing. That's all.
I don't remember ever reading it. Was it any good?
That was what it was. I mean, it. I'm sure that he had a somewhat higher aim than perhaps his co-author.
And who's his co-author?
CJ.
Oh, that's right. She then took it over after he left, didn't she?
Well, I think the two of them were doing it together at one time.
I think they were, but then he left, and then
Yes,
she
he
took it
left
over.
and she stayed. Yeah.
Yeah, she was not a big fan of mine either.
Well, she wasn't a big fan of mine either.
No, did she like anybody?
I don't know. I stopped as soon as I stopped subscribing to the paper, or if I just saw it online, I would never see her column. So, it's sort of like it was buried on the home, beneath the homepage, but in the paper, you knew just where to find it.
To this day, starting, I don't know, a few years ago, maybe it's longer than that, I cannot pick up a newspaper. It just makes me sad. It's
Yeah.
like 4 pages.
Yeah, well, it's the Star Tribune is still something of a newspaper, but the Pioneer Press is a sad, sad thing. Hey, now
It is.
speaking, how I'm going to just shift right to the
Okay.
Kentucky Derby here
Okay.
because it's coming on Saturday, and horse that's getting, I think, is the favorite right now, is a horse called Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone,
Oh.
risen from just an ordinary, little yearling. No one knew what would ever become of him, although he was purchased for $2.3 million.
Whoa.
So that's a lot. And even for a horse, that's a lot. And now I don't know if you know this name, but this is a guy who was well known and somewhat infamous more than famous, or both, I guess, in Florida. So you may have heard of him. You know who a guy named Peter Brandt is?
I've heard the name, yes.
Peter M. Brandt. No
Peter Brand.
relationship, I'm pretty sure, by the way.
Not related to Catherine,
No,
no.
I don't think so. No. So Peter M. Brandt, he made a fortune for many years because he could, he was an industrialist and he knew what the coming trends were.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the 80s, what he knew was that one business that was always going to flourish was the business of supplying print paper to newspapers.
That's what he did?
Yeah, and he like almost cornered the market. And then, of
Really?
course, you know what happened with the newspaper business.
Yeah, that was a pretty tough hit to be taken, I
It's a
would
pretty
imagine.
tough hit, but he collects two things that they kind of go together: art and horses.
Art and horses.
Oh yeah, well, because there comes a point where people make so much money that the only thing they can really purchase are like $32 billion Picassos.
Oh, yeah, I suppose that's true.
That's it's like you might have a wine cellar or something, not you, but people in general.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a totally different thing.
Mm.
So he's got this horse that's, I don't know, it's certainly the most expensive horse in the Kentucky Derby, and Sierra Leone. And I mean, you can't look away from this horse. There's a lot of pace in the race, and this is a horse that will come from off the pace. So he may have the pace in his factor, but on the other hand, he's in the 2 hole, and it's not the place to be if you want to be coming off the pace, because what's going to happen is this horse is going to be crushed by
Really?
all the fast horses in the middle that want to get over to rail to save ground. But he's a horse that the horse that I'm picking is a horse that has only run 3 races, and
Really?
it used to be that was toxic, but not anymore. Horses can do that now, and that's a horse. It's the number 8 horse, Just a Touch, and
That's your horse.
I like him because he can stay with the speed, but he can also come from a little off the pace. So I think he'll get a great trip. Now he finished second to Sierra Leone in the Bluegrass, which is a race they run at Keeneland every year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the co-favorite is I'm looking here, but I think it's the number 18 horse. They have 20 horses in the Kentucky Derby, which is, on the one hand, you would say it's really not safe to have 20 horses, but when 12 horses die, within a few days of or before or after the Kentucky Derby, as they did at Churchill last year,
Yeah.
there's a lot of other things to be worried about. I mentioned that because I know Joe's going to text us and talk about it.
He already did.
Of course.
He said it has begun. One horse dropped out of the Derby, and another has dropped out of Kentucky Oaks.
Well, I mean, if you've got, look, in any horse race at all, and I'm not defending the genocide of horses, race horses,
Well, that's good.
because it's disgusting. But if you have 20 horses in a race, 1 or 2 of them are going to drop out.
Yeah.
Because they're horses, especially thoroughbreds, they're very fragile creatures. And there has been, I mean, what's been going on in horse racing, it's been unforgivable in the last decade or so. And it's because of bad breeding. It's because of, it's because of illegality. It's because of horse doping.
Yeah.
And when I lost all of my interest in ever owning a horse, and I've had pieces of horses when they were alive, I might add. When I first saw the vet bill and I saw how many drugs just an ordinary horse was getting.
Oh God.
So Fierceness is probably the favorite. Fierceness is a horse who just won the Florida Derby, and Florida Derby, you should go there actually, while you're down there.
Where is it?
The Florida Derby is at Gulfstream, so you know where that is, right?
Oh, it's Gulfstream. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're not that far from Gulfstream.
No.
And went there with Wally one year. We had a great time.
Wally Walker?
Yeah. Mm.
You did?
And
How'd you tee that up?
Well, Wally was down in Florida, so I introduced him to two traditions that I always enjoyed. One was the Waffle House, and the other was Gulfstream Park.
Where's Wally now? I thought he moved to Michigan or something.
Did he really?
That's what I thought.
But I did not know that.
Wally
I miss
Walker.
Wally, though, I'll tell you that.
I do too. I loved Wally Walker. He was a great guy to work with. When Schumacher used to call him with the fake accents.
Sure.
Oh my God, he'd lose his mind because he never did figure out that it was Schumacher calling him.
Well, Wally did once say he would never work with me again.
He did?
I think we were still friends, but it was. Do you remember the very early days of the morning show when you had gone on vacation?
Mm-hmm.
And so Wally would sit in your chair.
Yes.
Right. So Wally would stumble occasionally. The timing might be off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd start going tick tock, tick tock. He'd say, "What are you doing?" I'd say, "I'm counting the seconds down to when Tom comes back."
He must have loved that.
Sometimes, he could be a little sensitive.
Oh, Wally could be sensitive. But I'm telling you, I just loved working with that guy. What a great guy.
Classic radio guy, huh?
Oh, yes.
I mean, he was that guy who was sweeping up the floor when he was 15, working his way into the business.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Wally Walker. God.
He gave that business everything, including his hearing.
Oh, we all did that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd come into the studio and I'd say something like, hey, turn the, turn the speaker down for a second. He'd say, "That's not the speaker. Those are my headphones."
They're that loud.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Looking back at that, I'm glad you brought that up because looking back in 1986, like I said, I get a call from Catherine in March that, no, actually, it might have been April already, that we were going to have a baby. That was an Andy. She was pregnant with Andy.
I remember that, yes.
Yeah, and she called and said, "We're going to have a baby." I said, "Well, we can't raise a baby in Manhattan. Not a good place to raise a baby."
Yep.
So I'm thinking about this. So I get a call from Hamilton literally as I'm hanging up the phone. He calls. Hamilton said, "Hey, you want to come do the morning show at KQRS?" I said, yeah, okay, sounds good. But when I got there, I did not realize, that was one hell of a staff they had there, the Wally Walkers of the world. And you go down the list of all the people.
Except for the sales guys.
He hated the sales guys back then.
They were a different breed. Remember the early days, Hammy wouldn't let them into his trailer.
He had a black and yellow line that you couldn't cross.
Right. And the trailer, for those who don't know, that was his office there.
It was, yes.
He didn't have enough space.
That was at the old building, 917 North Lilac Drive, which is still there. I think it's still a radio station. I think is it a public radio station or something?
I don't know.
God, those were the days, though. My God.
Oh, well, and especially, I mean, the two of us had such different perspectives, which worked out fine. But, you were a radio guy. And I had no idea what was going on. It's like, wait a minute, we just surpassed WCCO. Oh, that's good. That's good. Great. I never looked at the ratings. I never once looked at the ratings.
Well, they stopped giving us the ratings. You remember that, don't you?
Yes, eventually, yeah.
They eventually stopped giving us the ratings because
they were too good.
They became the highest rated morning show in America, and they didn't want me knowing that. Which
there are ways to find out.
Yeah, there are ways to find out. But yeah, isn't that funny? You look at it and you look at how this is a good example, a prime example of how management and ownership can change everything.
Right.
Because we were the #1 morning show in America, just kicking ass and billing money like the money's just pouring in the place.
Mm-hmm.
We had a 35 share in the morning, which again, the highest rated morning show in America. Management comes in slowly but surely, chipping away, making changes. I'm going to do this my way. That show now has a 1-6 in the morning.
Oh, man. Well, what
But
are the two worst words in American business?
one of them, Shelley. I know that. That was for you, gal fan.
That's not where I was going.
No, I know. We're gonna open the door for you. Go where you wanted to go.
Well, exactly. I mean, otherwise, why would I even be here?
Exactly.
No. But the two ugliest words in business. I'll give you a hint. The first word is hedge.
Fund might be the second one.
I thought you were going to say hogs, but
No, hogs, a hedgehog would be bad for the business.
They're not in high demand right now, so
hedge.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Hedge funds, obviously.
I will never forget when the Dickies came in the building. They owned Cumulus at the time that took it over and destroyed KQRS.
Yeah.
But they walked in the building and the chairman of the board, and I can't even remember his name. Was it James Dickey?
I can't remember.
I can't even remember their names either. But he walks up to me and blah, blah, blah. Now, you have to understand something, ladies and gentlemen. Back in those days, with all of that business going on, I was with clients, advertisers, blah, blah, blah. Every day I was doing either playing golf with them or going to dinner with them or what. Every single day of the week I'd be going out with clients and all these different people, right? Well, he comes up to me, walks over and he goes, yeah, I'm kind of offended. This is the chairman of Cumulus. I'm like, why are you offended? He goes, you don't remember playing golf with me, do you? And I said, no, I play golf with about 300 people a year, so it'd be kind of tough. He said, yeah, we played golf. You and Passolt and me and another guy played golf. And he never, ever got over the fact that I didn't recognize him.
Oh.
That's how big his ego was.
Oh, man.
What an ego that man. And his younger brother, the moron that he was, what a pain in the ass that guy was.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Oh, see, I had to deal with all that stuff. You didn't have to deal with it. I did. It was horrible.
Well, I was told to stay away. That was why.
Yeah.
No, and why can't half the people in Minnesota, at least half, watch Twins games anymore?
Isn't it just hideous?
Hedge fund.
So it was a hedge fund deal that caused that whole thing?
And everybody knew. The Twins knew.
Yes,
Valley
they did.
Sports knew that it was unsustainable. There were analysts, Wall Street analysts, the ones who bothered to look at it, who said, no, they'll be bankrupt, within 6 months.
Yeah.
Everybody knew it was going to be bankrupt. It was unsustainable. It's just another hedge fund that was going to suck up money and then go under.
That's what they do, man.
That's what they do. And the Twins, it goes to the Twins eventually because they allowed this. They not only allowed it to happen, I guess they wanted it to happen. I don't know.
Guess.
I don't know where they thought they were going to go with this.
I still love the fact that I can sit in Florida and watch every single Twins game on the MLB network.
Yeah.
But you guys can't watch it. I'm coming home in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks. I'm coming home. Looking forward to being back in town, but I'm not looking forward to the fact that I cannot watch Twins games when in my own hometown.
Yeah, I know you can get MLB.com here, but of course, .tv, but you can't watch the local games.
You cannot watch the local games. And that's as far away as like in Iowa, for what I understand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, what is the upside of not allowing people to watch the games?
Eventually, there is no upside.
Yeah. No. Well, right now, it's everyone has to go to us, so we get all the money. But then it kills the audience, and then no one gets money.
Yeah.
But they don't care because they're going to get money now.
Boy, money, money, money. It's always about money, isn't it?
I mean, when has it's not been about money?
No, you're right. It's always been this way, but it's just so disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, sports was not always like this, but thanks to the huge TV deals, the ones that are actually have some integrity, and it's just the whole thing has exploded, and so that's it's just a lot different. What was it that Babe Ruth said? Remember he said, I know what it was. He signed a deal, an incredible deal. This must have been about 1927 or so.
Mm-hmm. Yep, sure.
Signed the deal. He was making $100,000
in 1927.
That's a lot of money in 1927.
And work 6 months a year too, by the way.
Yep. And I'm pretty sure there was no TV deal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was no TV deal.
Maybe radio deals at the time.
Radio deals, absolutely.
There you go.
And someone said to him, who was the, let's see, who would have been the president in 27?
Let's see.
Does that go back?
Garfield.
That would be Calvin Coolidge.
Coolidge, there you go.
That's what I thought, but I thought anyway. So someone says to him, "Well, you know, you're making more money than the president," and he said, "Yeah, but I had a better year."
I had a better year. That's exactly what he said, too.
Now, who knows if he really said it, but we like to think he did.
I bet he did.
I don't know that he was the greatest quipster, but it was a good line any way you look at it.
What did he die at, like 54 or something like that?
Was it? God, did he live that long?
And maybe he didn't even live that long.
Despite all the sausages he ate?
He did like a sausage. He did have a...
in 48.
1948 or at 48?
In 48. He was 53.
Oh,
53.
Wow.
I was off by 1 year. I thought he was.
Yeah. He did not have a salubrious lifestyle.
He did not. That poor guy did, because he learned to play baseball in an orphanage, did he not?
I think that at least is the folklore.
Yeah. So imagine he goes from being in an orphanage, a child left behind, basically, becomes the biggest name in sports in the world, because at that time baseball was by far the biggest sport in the world.
Oh yeah. Here anyway.
Yeah, here anyway.
They were still playing that stupid game in Europe where they call it football, but it's not.
Oh, football, that's soccer crap.
Come on.
Come on. It all works out in the end. But no, isn't that sad, though, that kid goes through the hard times and he's just thrown away, discarded to a children's home, and gets out and becomes the biggest name, and he ends up dead at 53 anyway.
Yeah.
So what did he die of? Alcoholism or something? Does it say?
Yeah, he died of nasopharyngeal cancer, which likely from smoking and drinking.
There you go.
Oh, so it was worth it then.
So it was worth it
Hey,
to die.
smoking, drinking, home runs, an occasional little bout of syphilis.
Yeah,
you look at that 100,000 that he made all those years ago, $100,000 a year, and then you look at how meaningless that is today, when a guy like Kirk Cousins signs a deal for $100 million.
And then what do they do right after that? After they pay him all that money?
Draft a quarterback. Why would you give Kirk Cousins $100 million? He has never achieved anything.
The market is getting more pricey.
He's won one playoff game in his entire career. One.
Yeah. Well, how many have you won?
Well, when I put on the old uniform in the NFL playing days, it was unbelievable.
That was when I first really started to like Roy Smalley. I'm at the Twins game. It's like, last game of the season, and he's being heckled, right?
Oh, okay.
Smalley, you shouldn't even, it's going on and on about Smalley. Smalley strikes out. Now the guy's really on him. Oh, there's nobody in the stands. There's like 400 people in the stands. It's Sunday. There's a Vikings game going on. No one's in the stands.
Oh, okay.
So you hear what everyone is saying. And I'm sitting down in the stands. I'm not in the press box. I'm sitting down in the stands because, it's the last game of the season. So, the Twins were 30 games out.
Yes.
The game didn't really mean anything. Not that I ever cared about the game anyway, but I just wanted to write something amusing. So Smalley, he's like, he's got the bat in his hand. He's clutching the bat. I thought sawdust was going to come out. And he walks right up to the box seats as close as he can get. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be good. And he says to the guy, I'd like to see you try to hit that ball. And I thought, this is not your typical baseball player. No expletives, nothing.
Nothing. Roy is a damn good guy. I've known Roy for years, got a good family, the whole rest of it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that whole thing, predicting they'd win the World Series all those years ago, 1987, nobody believed it. They then did. Man, that's when the show just exploded. But
yeah.
I will also remember this. The Twins wanted to put me in the celebration parade when we got back. Well, they won the World Series at home because it was a 7-game series.
Mm-hmm.
Well, both of the World Series they won were 7-game series, as a matter of fact. But yeah, they invited me to ride in a convertible in the Twins victory parade. And who put the quash on that one?
Well, was it Sid?
Was not Sid. It was CCO Radio, though, because they
Oh,
carried the games. They didn't
of
want
course.
any radio guy being in their parade.
Well, it's funny because when I covered the Twins, they did a little parade, to sort of celebrate the opening day, and that would have been like about, I think it was the second year I covered the Twins, so probably 78.
Okay.
And they wanted me to ride in there, and they had a nice Twins uniform for me, except there was no number in the backside. It was just a bullseye.
That's probably true. I'm going to take that as true.
Might be. I didn't have a lot of fans in the corporate offices there,
I suppose,
or in the press box either.
But look, you're drawing attention to the game.
Sure.
Whether it's positive or negative, he's drawing attention to the game. Leave him alone.
It's entertainment.
Yes, exactly. Why can't they understand that?
And the sad thing is, you cannot write a story about the Twins anymore without referencing at least 15 analytics.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
There's like his WAR was better this year, but his BABIP was not an improvement. Okay, that's what I want to read when I read about a game.
Nah, you're right. You're absolutely right about that stuff. But you know what? I cannot believe that those World Series were 33 years ago. The last one was 33 years ago.
Been a while. But
Jesus.
hey, this year, look, we got the Timberwolves, who very, very real chance of winning it all. And you got the Twins, who we can celebrate at the moment for 10 straight. And then later on, we will mourn for losing 10 straight.
The same team.
But that's baseball. It brings you up. It brings you down. And after all, we've only been waiting for 45 years for the Timberwolves to do something.
Yeah, the last championship in this state won by a professional basketball team was the Minneapolis Lakers.
Right, playing at the Armory.
Playing at the Armory at the time. God, that's amazing.
I remember my dad taking me to the Armory. I must have been like 4 years old, to see Elgin Baylor. All the guys, but Elgin Baylor was there, and we sat up in the nosebleed seats. And there were some at the Armory, and you know what I remember best? I couldn't see a thing. And you know why I couldn't see anything?
Why?
I needed glasses.
That'll do it.
Yeah,
that'll do it. No question.
And so it's like I look back at that, and I don't smile when I think of seeing the great Elgin Baylor. All I think about is the fact I couldn't see a damn thing.
It's so amazing. The last thing I ever saw at the old Armory, the Harlem Globetrotters.
Sure.
That was the last thing I saw at that arena.
Yeah.
It's still there, though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Is there anything going on? Do they ever have anything going on there?
It is a venue, yeah.
Oh, so it's like a concert venue?
Yeah, that kind of stuff, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
It's not big enough for a truck show or anything.
Right. I could see that.
Demolition Derby, no, not fit for that.
All right, boys, we got about 2 minutes. Any closing words?
Just all I can say, I rarely say this, but enjoy the rain and enjoy the Timberwolves while they last.
No, you don't think it's going to last?
Nothing
what
does.
What makes you say that?
Because this is Minnesota.
Well, the Timberwolves the thing is, they're healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And, very few teams are healthy. Basically, nobody is at this time of year. The Timberwolves were not healthy earlier in the year.
Right.
They timed it just right. And basketball, is a lot of people don't know this. Basketball is a contact sport.
Oh, God,
it's the most violent sport I think there is. If these guys, the only reason you don't see basketball players breaking legs at a regular basis, and although you do see them wiping blood off the court like 3 or 4 times a game now, it should tell you something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's gotten out of hand. The only reason they don't have more injuries than football players is because basketball players don't wear helmets and shoulder pads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's gotten to be a vile sport in that sense. And yet they are the greatest athletes, I think, ever.
They are phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. All right, boys, we will talk to you later.
Bye.
Have a good day.